If you have a lot of data about your company and you want to conduct a really deep go-to-market audit, here is the right video. You don't need any sort of agency or GTM partner to help you. You can do it yourself. In this video, I'm going to show you the framework which we're using, because we also provide GTM audits for B2B companies. And here is the exact process that we've been using so far. It has been delivering a lot of value to our customers, and I hope you'll also find this process valuable. You can take inspiration from it if you're actually serious about scaling your company, getting things right, building systems for 2026. So let's get straight into it. The very first thing which we want to talk about, of course, is company goals and revenue targets. So the whole idea about company goals and revenue targets is to understand where the business is actually trying to go. So I would set probably 12-month goals and then break them down into quarterly goals. So it would be much easier for you to execute on those specific goals. And for example, per each quarter, you could be making 2 to 3 different tests or iterations and see how those perform and if they bring any sort of results. But also what's important to understand what sort of split you want to kind of follow in regards of percentage of new business. So how much revenue should come from new business versus the expansion of existing clients, meaning upsells, cross-sells, downsells. Doesn't matter that much. You just need to understand if you want to focus more on new customer acquisition, if you want to focus on selling to existing customers, or you want to have a fair split of 50-50, let's say. A lot of companies are also doing this, and this is absolutely fine. You also want to understand how much you're expecting to grow, and if you have even the capacity to kind of follow with the tempo of your growth. Also think about different constraints. So you need to take into consideration budget, headcount, tech, market conditions, a lot of different things, right? So the key questions here would be, what's your revenue target? What must be true to hit it? So what sort of conditions or what sort of things you have to do to kind of fulfill this goal? And also what markets and which sort of ICP matters the most? And it pretty much beautifully translates into the next point, which is ICP definition and target segments. So you want to clarify who you are selling to, meaning we want to focus on the primary ICP, or as I call it, V1 ICP, which is version 1. You want to understand the industries, the size of the companies, geography, and the budget. So those 4 things are the most important. Those are the basics of any sort of ICP. But if you can get even more granular, the better for you. Of course, secondary ICPs. So for example, if your total addressable market is pretty small, you want to have the fallback options, which you can always use in your go-to-market strategy. So for example, if you have, 2,000 companies as your total addressable market, you definitely will hit them sooner or later. And then what else is left, right? You got to leverage your secondary ICP. So that's, of course, very important as well. Firmographics, technographics, I wouldn't go into like too many details about that, but it's kind of understandable. Also, buying signals, you want to leverage buying signals as soon as possible when you build out the ICP. So probably SaaS companies with under 50 people is a great definition of ICP, but if you can say B2B SaaS companies which are currently hiring for 5+ SDRs and which are under 50 people, it's much better, right? I hope this also self-explanatory. And also segment prioritization, you want to prioritize different segments, right? Not each segment can be the top priority for you. Dependent on the market conditions and the conditions of your company and industry, you can choose which ICPs have to be prioritized first. And the key questions here are, which ICP brings the best deals? Who is easiest to close now? Because that will impact your sales process, and how many clients you can bring on with which sort of velocity, right? And who wastes the most pipeline? You want to filter out time wasters, right? So if you see that some specific ICP, for example, is causing a lot of headache, not only in the fulfillment process, but also in the sales process, you better leave them as secondary or even the third grade ICP, and you don't touch them until some sort of emergency happens, which is also realistic. It happens to all of us, right? Then buyer personas, of course, you want to understand the decision-making psychology. So you want to map out the decision makers, you want to map out the influencers, again, dependent on the ICP, size of the company, right? The influencers can be in the company or there can be no influencers, which also happens. You want to kind of understand what sort of KPIs and goals they have in mind. Again, marketers versus sellers, they care about different KPIs. Same goes to pain points, same goes to buying motivation, because some companies might want your solution to save time. Some people want your solution to earn more money, and that's normal. You also want to know who owns the budget and objection patterns, pretty much mapping out top 20 most common objections, how you handle them, how you make sure you can go through them and sign the deal. So that's about buyer personas. Then we have positioning and messaging. You want to create some sort of specific way of market pursuing you. So the way the market perceives you is very, very important. So we want to make sure we have a core value proposition, right? Which is mostly a 2-3 sentences about what sort of value you deliver to your market, to your ICP. Then you want to also create some sort of competitive advantage or differentiation. Could be a lot of different things. Could be speed, could be price, could be different integrations, easy of use, market localization, etc. We want to create also ICP specific messaging. So different ICPs might care about different sides of your product. That's important. Hence, you need to create ICP-specific messaging. You also need to have the clarity test, meaning could a 6-year-old understand your offer? Or could you explain your offer in just one sentence or not? That's how you know if your positioning, if your offer has clarity or doesn't. Of course, relevance of case studies. I actually made a post about it recently on LinkedIn that if you don't have relevant case studies, you better show none. It's better than to have a really irresistible offer rather than the case studies. And also competitor positioning, how you want people to compare you with your competition. That's also important. Then we have the offer architecture, right? So we want to have our core offer, which would be around 80% of our customers. We also want to have entry or low friction offers, meaning if it's harder to convert some specific sort of ICP, we can make the low friction offer for them to just start out with us. And once we get the commitment, we can slowly build out the relationship and upsell them later during the fulfillment process, right? We also want to get clear on the pricing structure. How do we price our services? What's the margins we are trying to achieve? Also, packaging clarity. You want to make sure that the deliverables are very well specified, even in the contract. You need to make sure that deliverables are clear from the day zero, so you don't get any sort of problems later during the fulfillment process, right? Risk reversal is also important. You might want or might not want to include it. That's up to you. But if you do, also make sure that it's not some fugazi risk reversal, but it actually works and it gives your buyers the confidence, right? And also the ROI narrative. You need to showcase the very specific ROI which our product brings. And the more kind of surfaces you can touch, the better. If it's not only making people more money, but saves people time, that's like much better perceived value, like higher perceived value than just one specific sort of ROI. And as I mentioned, the test, would a cold prospect understand the offer in 20 seconds? That's very important. You don't want to pitch slap. You want to be as specific as possible. And if you lack clarity, it would be really hard for you to convert those people. Also, the next thing is demand generation. So lead gen engine, you want to cover the targeting quality, right? You want to cover the data sources and enrichments. So how you're going to source leads, how you're going to enrich them, which sort of information you need. Do you only need emails, or do you also want to do the LinkedIn outreach, right? Or maybe you even have the cold callers, which could see it and just call your ICP. That's very important to understand from the get-go. Also, deliverability and domain setup. It's mostly about the email infrastructure, right? The sending infrastructure. Then we have the messaging frameworks. You want to leverage different frameworks for different ICPs. You don't want to kind of lock yourself on just one specific framework. The more you can use and test out, the better. It will also help you kind of get the message market fit much faster. Sequencing strategy as well. How many follow-ups do we do? How do we send them? Do we only send follow-ups via emails, or do we also use multi-channel, right? Also, we want to keep the right balance of volume versus the very specific signal-based campaigns. You want something in between, which is targeted enough to make people reply to you, but also the volume is big enough for you to actually see good sort of lead flow in your company. Also, inbound is very important. Do you want to do any content? If yes, on which platforms? Do you want to do lead magnets? What sort of free value could you just give out to your ICP? Is there any sort of funnels on your website? Is there a way you could convert people or let them book demo with you from your website? Also very important. SEO, social presence. Again, do you do any sort of blog posts? Do you try to rank yourself higher in the search engines? And not only Google, by the way, but also AI. A lot of people are now leveraging ChatGPT for search queries. Hence, you also need to make sure you rank high in different LLMs. Paid channels might be also relevant for you. Paid advertising works really well. And if you have your offer validated, I would definitely go all for Meta and LinkedIn ads. And also partnerships, the third channel, you want to see if there are any sort of channel partners or even competitors you could collaborate with, right, and work on some particular projects. Integration partners might be also great if you're a SaaS solution. Referral performance, I would say, is relevant for every sort of B2B business. So if there is a way you could set up a system and reward the clients which refer you to other clients, I mean, great, more business for you, and the prospects which come are much warmer. Then we want to talk, of course, the next thing is sales process, right? Discovery call framework. How do you structure your discovery calls, then demo calls, the presentation, right? How do you create offer? How do you pitch? How do you handle the objections? Then how also do you qualify the prospects during the discovery call? It's extremely important, right? How do you craft proposals? What do you need to include in the proposals to increase the probability of closing the lead, right? Also pipeline hygiene. How do you keep your pipeline and CRM clean? That's also very important. A lot of sales teams are missing out on that. Hence, it's important you take care of it. RevOps and internal systems is the next thing. So we want to make sure that GTM operations support scale. And as I mentioned, CRM structure and hygiene, it's very important. We want to make sure that each lead is categorized and reached. We have the full picture. We have the information about them, right? On which stage they are, what the objections or constraints might be. So it's also easier both for sales team and also the management do the predictions, right? And create some strategic goals based on this data. We also want to have automation workflows. We want to have reporting dashboards, right? Data quality. This all is very important for both sales and marketing. We also want to create the lead routing, meaning the sales teams get notified once human input is needed, whether it's outbound or inbound, or maybe some website visitors. Who knows? You need to have a clear classification of roles, who does what, right? And based on this, you can be really effective with even a small amount of people in your sales team. Then, of course, tech stack audit, right? So for different purposes, we have different tools. For outbound, we have Clay Instantly, PrimeForge, Maildoz, Apollo, Prospio, ICPs, all of those tools, right? For CRM, we have HubSpot, Salesforce, Close, Monday, Attio. For automations, we have Make, Zapier, NA10. You also might want to use tools for analytic or forecasting. You want to use tools for intent tracking or like social listening, something which has been appearing quite often on LinkedIn. For this, I recommend, for example, Trigify, right? And any other tools which might make it easier for the whole organization to function, to convert leads, right? To use different channels at the same time and actually succeed in scaling the whole business. Then number 10 is metrics and performance. You definitely want to choose some specific metrics which you are going to track, right? Which will give you the correct picture and correct understanding of what's happening and what the bottlenecks might be. So what I recommend you do is you track the ratio of replies, convert it into a call or demo, and from demos convert it into close. That's the easiest way, for example, to track the effectiveness of outbound channel. I would say if you get 3 to 5% reply rate, those are really great, awesome results. If you can convert at least 40 to 50% of interested leads into a call, that's also really great. You're already like top 10%. And if you can close 15 to 20% in B2B, you're also considered a great salesman. So keep going. Those are the metrics which you kind of have to put for yourself as the North Star. Also sales cycle velocity, right? How quickly do we convert people from interested lead into a paying customer? Show up rate, also great. You want to keep it 90% plus, right? So people don't fall out of your pipeline on early stages. Cost of acquisition, lifetime value, payback, you might want to track this as well, just to make some healthy business forecasts. Retention versus expansion, we've been discussing it as well. You want to have a healthy retention rates, because without those, even if you sign a lot of new customers every single month, you're still leaking and you won't be growing in a sustainable way. And also benchmarks versus industry. We could also talk about it probably in the other video. Then execution gaps, right? You want to maybe have in this situation someone to look at your company from the side and kind of evaluate what could be missing in within your organization to hit the goals you're looking for. Could be skill gaps, right? Maybe your team just doesn't know, for example, how to build automations. You're doing a lot of things manually. You waste a lot of time, hence you cannot serve more clients. Could be the resource gap. Maybe you are missing some sort of specific resources or knowledge to actually hit your goals. Could be some strategy gaps. Maybe you are targeting the wrong audience and you are trying to achieve the goals in the industry which shouldn't be even yours, right? Could be also process gaps, pretty self-explanatory. Could be alignment issues between different departments, specifically sales, marketing. This is a very common problem. And could be also some gaps in the leadership. Maybe I'm missing the person who is more into operations. For example, you have really great co-founders which are awesome in sales, but you don't have someone who is more of like technical person. Hence, you're going to lack on this side of business massively. And that's why it's really important that you have all sort of people in your leadership, so you can always stay on top of different problems, which you might not be able to fix yourself. And then when it comes to 90-day GTM roadmap, here what it would look like in my opinion. So the first 30 days would be the foundation. You would fix the infrastructure issues. You would clarify your ICP and segments. You would tighten the messaging, right? So we don't just message to everyone. We don't send them pitches. We are very specific with who we target and what message do we want to show to our ICP. And then, of course, clean the CRM, establish routing, making sure that the sales team can handle great volumes of leads going through your pipeline. The next 30 days would be for acceleration. So you want to rebuild the outbound engine. You want to launch the new offer using different channels. Outbound includes cold emails, LinkedIn, cold calls, even personal visits sometimes. Then you want to improve your demo and follow-up frameworks. So once you start booking the calls, you want to start iterating the way you are holding the sales calls, how you close people, how you follow up with them, etc. So you're always and constantly improving. And then standardized reporting. So for each sales rep, you can create, for example, weekly reports, right, which gives you the understanding of the situation, and you could spot bottlenecks quite early and remove them quickly, right? And the last 30 days of this 3-month plan would be the scaling phase. So you can add new channels, for example, inbound led outbound. You could start capturing website visitors, start publishing the lead magnets, capture leads from social media, also slowly increasing, ramping up the outbound volume, build some RevOps automations, which is also great, and also improve pipeline velocity. Once you've closed a couple of clients or didn't close a couple of clients, you get the feedback, and based on this feedback, you can make the tweaks to your presentation, to the way you pitch, to increase the closing rate and actually get more customers. And that's how we conduct the GTM strategy audit for most of our clients. So it includes not only the audit, but also the build out of the strategy, right? And as we are entering the Black Friday, I've also decided that we want to have a really nice offer for first 3 companies which sign up. So we want to give like the full GTM audit and strategy build out for free. So everything which I mentioned from above will be included in the full GTM audit. So we'll define your ICP and the buyer personas, right? We'll do the messaging review and value proposition clarity. We'll analyze your offer and optimize it. We'll assess the channels and funnels to make sure that you use the correct channels for your specific industry and your offer. We'll also diagnose your sales process and review the tech stack, right? What you might be missing or what you have to remove. And then the second part would be actually the strategic build out. So we'll refine the ICP, map out the buyer journey, right? Create value propositions, messaging pillars, all of this stuff. Choose the specific buying signals which make sense for your industry and install them into your outbound and inbound, right? Suggest the channels which you have to use. And at the end, you'll get a 4 to 6 month actionable GTM roadmap on which you can execute by yourself or use any sort of other external partner. It doesn't matter, but at least you'll have the clarity, you'll have the information bits, the data sets which are needed in your case to succeed in 2026. So if you're interested, you can leave the comment audit below this video, or you can also message me on LinkedIn. Just tell me that you are from YouTube and we'll organize the call. We'll learn as much as possible about you, right? And we'll create a big strategy document and audit everything so you have a head start to into 2026. And anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was valuable for you. You found something useful, which you can now go audit and implement. Let me know what my next video should be about, and see you soon. Ciao.